With Dragon Ball Super now commencing its Universe 6 versus Universe 7 Universal God Destruction Tournament battle with Botamo versus Goku first, today, myself and Super Saiyan Paul are going to have a brief little discussion as to who we think, if by some chance there's going to be a filler spot with someone taking over on Universe 7's team. Particularly, Paul here believes that Gohan is going to re-enter and possibly enter this tournament and, join alongside his father, Vegeta, and Piccolo alongside Monaka to battle up against Universe 6. So, I want to ask you briefly, so why is it that you believe that Gohan is going to re-enter this tournament? And if he does enter by some chance, by some mere coincidence, how is he going to fare up going against the characters that we've seen going up against Universe 6? That being Frost, we have Botamo, we have Vegeta, we have Hit, and we have Frost. So I want to ask you personally, because you're the one that brought this up. Now, I don't really think it's irrational for him to be a part of this right now. I do think it's possible, but going based off what we saw in Toyotaro's manga, I want to know your take on this. I want to know two things. Number one, do you believe that he could possibly fill up that spot, as you said? And two, if he does so happen to show up, how strong is he going to be in comparison and going up against, his rivals from Universe 6? Where would he stand in power? Because we would know at this point that he's not the same Gohan that he once was. Can people change? Absolutely, people change all the time. There's always character development within every story. So I want to know where you think he ranks and if you think it's possible for him to show up in this tournament.
Alright, so because of that latest episode, now more than ever, it still fits the story perfectly for Gohan to show up. The reason why is because they didn't X out that bubble for him to appear. On top of that, in the manga, they specifically had Videl point out that he's at the conference. They did not show him at the conference, but now in the video, in the actual show, they don't even mention that part. They cut that part out.
They didn't mention a lot of things from the manga.
Yeah,
a lot of things. So that doesn't really...
But yeah, back in the story, they never even mentioned that Gohan wanted to train again too in the manga, but now he's training. So on top of that, Goku has now been revealed to only have gone Super Saiyan against Botamo, meaning that these enemies aren't as strong as people were thinking. We're not talking about Hit, Frieza, and Kaba yet, but these other two, they're not Super Saiyan God's Super Saiyan level of strength. We don't know how strong Goku and Vegeta are in their base forms or in their Super Saiyan forms, but I still think that leaves some groundwork for Piccolo to compete as well as Gohan. If Piccolo can compete in this area, I still say Gohan can keep up.
So wait, going back to what you said about Piccolo, you think Piccolo is on the same level as Botamo and Vegeta?
If he's able to compete in this tournament, I say that Gohan should be able to qualify.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about Gohan, we're talking about Piccolo here, that this is going to transcend back to Gohan, but someone like Piccolo, right? Piccolo being there, do you think Piccolo would be equal to or greater than in power compared to Botamo and Vegeta? Because as you said, people like Frost, Kabe, and Hit are quite unknown when it comes to power because, we don't really know if Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan transformation levels are going to be featured going up against those characters. I think they will, but in terms of Piccolo, so do you think Piccolo, in comparison to power, would be equal to or greater than someone like Botamo or Vegeta?
I think maybe Botamo. We're not sure because they would have to start with the weakest first, don't you think?
Okay, so if you're saying that Piccolo would be slightly more powerful than Botamo, correct? Where would that place Gohan? Because we saw during the little training session, although you can look at it from many different perspectives, I believe at least, given the circumstance that Gohan slacked off, man, and for right reasons. It's not like he slacked off and did nothing with himself, he tried to support his family being a regular common man. But, seeing their little brief battle by the mountainside, we saw that Piccolo did have the upper hand on him, just slightly. So, where would that place Gohan if you believe that Piccolo would be stronger than Botamo and Vegeta? Would that essentially mean that Gohan would be either slightly below those two? Because in comparison to Frost, Kabe, and Hit, I don't think at least that Gohan would stand the chance. But at least comparing him to Vegeta or Botamo, what do you think?
Let's say he was able to get back to Ultimate Gohan. Don't you think that he would be able to compete?
You don't really know that for sure because
we don't know if he got there yet. But if he did, you don't think he'd be able to stand a chance against any of these guys?
Ultimate Gohan has been looking at Ultimate Gohan and then looking at just base form Goku and Vegeta. Those two exceed Ultimate Gohan by such a huge margin. Now, you think, in your personal opinion, that Gohan's going to return. Me, I believe the opposite. Now, I'm not ruling this out as a definite, I do have like there's a small part of me that believes, a very small part of me that believes that Gohan will be a part of this tournament, but the other larger part of me believes that Gohan's story is yet to come. I think Gohan's gonna have a very large portion coming, like leading into Dragon Ball Super. That's gonna happen after this Universal God Destruction tournament, because after being denied by your father, after being tortured by Frieza, after realizing that you can't even stand up against Beerus to protect your own loved ones when Goku wasn't even around in Battle of Gods, where does this leave Gohan? Like, so I think like being rejected from the tournament, being tortured by Frieza, being rendered helpless against Beerus during Battle of the Gods, I think this makes for a very interesting story development for Gohan down the road that doesn't include the tournament yet, because the tournament, as we like, if you really look at like the entire like focus of the story, it's mainly surrounding Champa and Beerus's like ignorance towards one another, because like Champa really I mean, it all boils down to food. So but like the premise of the story is involving Champa and Beerus, because they can't fight, obviously, because if they fight they'll destroy everything, so they have people fight for them. And being in Gohan's shoes, being told from your own father and everybody else that you're not necessarily ready to compete in that tournament yet, it kind of like takes away that's like saying, hey, listen, Paul, you're not ready enough to like, you know, go to the gym and bench a certain amount, or you're not ready to do a certain thing. Like, that's gonna eat you up inside, and obviously it ate him up greatly, because when he told Goku, oh man, like, man, in 4 days I have to go to this meeting, you know, it hurt him inside. So that's what leaves me to believe that while they're all competing in this tournament, he's probably out there attending a conference, but also on the side training to when his father comes back, he's gonna be like, hey dad, look what I learned. And then Goku can be like, oh, you improved a lot, damn, alright, well, maybe we can do something with you here. Because I think Gohan's story is yet to be told, but since you believe that he's gonna be involved, how do you think he's gonna be involved? Because that would ultimately mean that, like, at some point it's gonna have to boil down to like this, you know, fifth fighter having to emerge, because again, as according to Beerus, Monaka has to fight last. He's the strongest. So, like, how would you even add Gohan in this? Because, I do believe that at some point, by the end of this tournament thingy, I think it's going to either boil down to Vegeta or Monaka being the last ones on Universe 7 standing. And so, how would you fit Gohan in that, like, mixture?
For Gohan, they left the bubble open. Doesn't the one that leads directly to Hit? There's that same bubble that Majin Buu was supposed to be in?
Yeah, that all depends on if you want to believe that Majin Buu's spot is open. Do you think his spot is open?
It depends. After Goku tags out or whatever, or after he beats Botamo, if they X out Botamo on the thing, that means that spot's open. That definitely confirms that that spot's open. But if there's no X or anything, or the screen just darkens, that still leaves it up to question. But I'm just waiting for Goku to whoop his ass in the next episode and see if there's an X.
Wait, so you're waiting for X marks on the screen, right? Like where it has,
yeah, because Pokemon, they used to do that. Like they would blank it out or stuff like that. In tournament type of stuff, they would X it out or blank it out. And that's what they used to do in the old school tournaments in Dragon Ball Z as well, right? They used to cross out the names.
Okay, so but like you're set in stone on just Gohan, right?
I have a very strong feeling, because every single thing leads to this. They banned fusion from the fighting. They showed that you can unfuse from stuff like that. They showed Majin Buu wasn't capable of taking the test. A written test that Gohan could easily pass. They've been messing around with this conference stuff, but they've been cutting things in and out of the manga that weren't supposed to be in there. And the fact that Piccolo can train and still make it into the leagues with them, because Piccolo and Gohan weren't too far off from one another in the Resurrection F saga. Even though he was beating his ass in the training, I really don't think that power gap was there. So if Piccolo can compete, I still believe Gohan should still be able to enter, even if it is throwing him out there to fight Hit and get his ass beat.
So you would sacrifice Gohan and allow someone like Hit to just wreck him, right?
I want to see him come back.
You want to see him get wrecked? That's what you pretty much just said, man. That's so sad, though. Bring him back just to get wrecked by someone like Hit? That's scary. That's a scary thought, because you're gonna tarnish his pride even more. Because I
want to see the fight. If anything, he should be fighting the robot.
Mojetta. We don't. That'll be a good a very good pairing. But
because I want to see Vegeta versus Kaba, Piccolo fight a little bit of Frost, and Hit. I want to see him fight maybe like 4 of them at least.
Man, I do think that it's gonna boil down to, because it's advertised everywhere, Goku versus Hit, but we don't even know how that's gonna even play out. But if that's not the case, then another part of me believes, again guys, this is only speculation and theory here, because a lot of you guys tend to just misconstrue information here and think that this is all confirmed stuff. No, we're just sharing our personal views. Paul believes that Gohan's going to be in this tournament. I do not, and we would like to know what you guys think. But again, going back to what I just said, I think that, again, just something doesn't seem right here. I mean, there's two characters that hold a lot of mystery, that being Monaka and that being Hit. Hit being very quiet and very, like, to himself. He doesn't really, like, you know, pay attention or acknowledge everybody. Like, the entire time, he had his head down, he had his eyes closed, he doesn't really give a shit. And Monaka, even though Goku punched him in the face and it looked like he was gonna cry, I think that he's trumping Goku. I don't think he's, like, maybe, like, in that particular form, he makes himself out to be like this little like little herb, but I think in reality, when it comes down to fighting, I mean, there's a reason why he was Beerus' most feared rival. I mean, he was the strongest person Beerus ever fought, and that's for a very specific reason. So we don't even know if he has transformations, whatever. Even if he doesn't have a transformation, fine. It's
He
all
could
about,
be
you know,
bluffing. I mean, imagine if Beerus was bluffing and he really doesn't have shit.
I really doubt that.
I really doubt that too, but I'm just saying it's still possible.
It would be possible. I mean, again, guys, this is all speculation, because going into episode 33, going into chapter 10 next month, going into so many, like, you know, features from Dragon Ball Super, anything is possible, you know. So,
because the thing I wanted to wonder about that is that Goku and Super Saiyan God pushed Beerus to that limit, right? And Beerus was so anxious to fight a Super Saiyan God. How much power in between there is there really for Monaka to really fill in?
Man, it must be a lot, because like if you really look at it, Goku wasn't, like, even though Goku was trying, he still wasn't able to do that much of a damage to Beerus. Like, there was no signs of you know, punctured wounds, there was no, you know, blood, there was nothing. Like, Beerus was just there, you know. Like, I'm pretty sure that going back to Beerus' history, I'm pretty sure, I believe this at least, I think Monaka was the first one to draw blood from Beerus. It has to be. Even though Beerus had those visions of fighting, you know, the Super Saiyan God, whatever, it's a foreshadowing for sure, especially even after what we said about, you know, having to train them to possibly fight them himself one day and stuff. There's a lot of foreshadowing going into Dragon Ball Super, and there are a lot of, like, time gaps and, like, plot holes and stuff. You can't really deny that. But going back to what you said that certain adaptations weren't incorporated in the anime as opposed to the manga, and that's true, because even though we are already into the fight between Botamo and Goku, they haven't shown the conference yet, at least as of right now. They haven't showed Goku fighting Vegeta in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber as Super Saiyan Gods, which was a real letdown.
And a big misconception was that everybody thought versus Botamo, Goku went Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan.
Well, and that's nobody's fault. That's all based off of the drawing, because, like, the shading and stuff.
Yeah, but now that's been proven that he's not going all out from the start, meaning that these enemies aren't quite as strong as we think they are.
Well, you can't base all the enemies just on Botamo.
I know, but there's still groundwork.
Just because one dude is... Because remember, this also kind of goes back to, like, the Ginyu Force, right? You had a bunch of dudes who were kind of strong, one stronger than the other, but then you had Captain Ginyu, who was, like, the strongest one, and they really had to go all out to fight him because he was, like, the strongest one, and he was able to do so much. So that's what I think this is like. I think that each character is, like, you know, strong, and then you have the stronger, and you have the strongest, and you have the person that's even stronger than that. So everybody ranks differently here. I don't think nobody exceeds the gods, especially Whis and Varu. But
that's, like, the thing. All right, so let's say when Goku fights Frost, right? Eventually he's gonna have to tag out for Piccolo. Is Hit strong enough?
We don't know if there's tagging out though. Like, that's the
thing. Like, if it's gonna be Hit versus Goku has to tag out, or if he loses, that's it.
You can't really say tagging out, because it's traditional Budokai, like, rules. It's like you have to fight until you get, like, either, you know, knocked out, or if you just, you know, fall out the ring.
So how is Goku supposed to fight Hit?
All right, so again, it's promoted as Hit versus Goku in, you know, Times Square in Japan and stuff. It's promoted as that. Maybe, like, again, this can go so many ways. This is just my opinion, but maybe after the tournament. Maybe after the tournament, Goku's like, hey, so I saw you fight, or whatever the case may be, and he's like, I want to fight you. Or maybe something happens to where Hit's like, I don't give a shit about this tournament, I just want to, like, do me and try to get the Dragon Balls for myself. Like, we don't really know, but I see your point on that. Like, you're asking, you know, why, or at least how is Goku going to fight Hit, if that's the case. But going back to, like, the original point of this video, that being Gohan, and this is why I don't want to see Gohan added in this tournament, is because at this point, right, everybody is stronger than Gohan. I don't want to see Gohan enter this tournament like, hey guys, and then just get knocked out. I want to see Gohan save the day. I want to see Gohan be the hero. I want to see Gohan literally put in the time and the effort to prove himself to everybody like, oh, hey, look, like I still have what it takes to be that hero. I don't want to see him enter this tournament and then get knocked out by Hit or Frost or something. That'll just prove further that Gohan's weak.
But then at the same time, everybody's watching. This is his moment for him to show everybody that he's actually one of the fighters. He's a true Saiyan.
Yeah, he's a true Saiyan that gets his ass whooped. But then, like, where does that leave his character? It's like he shows up just to get beat again. Like that. That's not what he wants. Even when he fought Piccolo, he's like, he told Goku, he's like, I have the motivation to be the fighter that I once was because of what happened with Frieza. And Goku's like, good job, but hey, no. It's like, so you bring him in here. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to see him in this tournament, but at the current state that he's in now, absolutely not, because he'll enter, he'll probably do a decent job.
But that's the thing, if Piccolo is in there, why is Piccolo there just to get a redemption if Gohan can't do it either?
Oh man, Piccolo is a fucking strategist, bro. Come on, like, Piccolo is a fucking brilliant fighter, bro. Like, it's not just about strength sometimes, it's about how smart you are, and you can't deny that Piccolo is smarter than Gohan when it comes to strategy.
When it comes to strategy, yes, but in terms of power, he sat on the top.
No, you're right. I mean, power can be saturated. Who gives a shit about power levels? But one of the reasons why he's there is because he's a brilliant fighter. He's not a dumb fighter, and that's essentially what Vegeta wanted. He wanted smart fighters, and Buu failed. And that's one thing that kind of bums me out because I really want to see Buu in this, but hey, we can't really have it our way. But Piccolo, going back to when he fought Raditz, going back to when he was the only one fighting the Cell Juniors, when Vegeta was down, when Trunks was down, he was holding his own alongside Yamcha and Tien, which made no sense, but he was holding his own then. He never really fought Buu, so we can't really say, but he always held his own. He always stood his ground.
I mean, he did give up against Supreme Kai.
Who? Piccolo?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Supreme Kai is at this point, Kai's not a fighter, man. He had all the reason in the world to, like, throw his hands at that time because he had the history with Buu, but there is no history here. Like, why would he want to enter this and fight against another god? It's like it makes no sense. But I agree. I would like to see Gohan too. I really do. I don't have anything against the character, but if he does come back, it's like, oh hey, he comes back and he's like, all right, I'm ready. Who's he gonna beat? All right, he beats Botamo, fine. He beats Vegeta, fine. Here comes Kabe, here comes someone else, and he just gets wrecked. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see Gohan maxed out, or at least, attempting to max out his true potential. Comes back, he's like, hey dad, listen, whatever, I trained this whole time, whatever. He makes, like, I don't know what, like, the story build can be here, but he comes back, and he fights, and instead of getting his ass kicked, he's the one that's kicking ass. Like, that'll be really cool. Like, I'm not saying, let him win the tournament.
Whose ass is Piccolo's gonna kick? Like,
and that's the thing, right? If Goku eliminates Botamo so easily, how do we know that Piccolo doesn't get eliminated easily?
Or how do you know that they just don't stomp down everybody down to Hit? Like, they don't completely plow through the Universe 6 team.
It's not irrational. It's possible, but that's all. That's like saying, okay, well, what if Universe 6? What if Universe 6, throws down against Universe 7 and they eliminate everybody up until Monaka?
I don't see that happening, but
that's the same as implying I don't see that happening to Universe 6 either, because we don't know what Kabe and Frost are capable of. I mean, we saw what Frost was capable of to a degree, that being when he transformed. But that still doesn't tell us shit, because we don't know what he can do beyond that. So, but in terms of Gohan covering that subject, you believe he's gonna arrive. I don't. Like, a small part of me does, but a large part of me doesn't, just because of like where everything fits here. And Beerus was pissed when he found out it was like 4 against 5. He was like, what the fuck? But I still don't think that's gonna matter because of what he said to everybody. He said, all right, given that Monaka's the strongest, he fights last. He has to fight last. Like, so, if he's gonna fight last, and we're all curious as to how strong he is, they're gonna have to show us how strong he is, which means down the road, everyone's gonna have to get eliminated, and ultimately it's gonna boil down to him. Because what would be the point of the tournament if you have Universe 7 win without showing Monaka fight?
Yeah, that's true, but then again, imagine if it was just a bluff.
It could be a bluff. I'm not saying that it is, but why would it be? Why would the God of Destruction, who's been through a shit ton of fights in his lifetime and has been through so much, lie about this, because if you think about it, he does care about Earth, and that's only because of Bulma and her food. Like, he's not gonna jeopardize Earth. Like, that's the only reason why he cares about Earth, is because of food. So why would he want to give up the deliciousness of food and just call his own bluff like that? Like, I don't think he'd be stupid enough to just drop Earth like that.
When Goku first heard about Monaka, remember, he just decided to go train like nonstop because he's like, wow, there's somebody stronger than me. Let's get back into the chamber and train because we're reaching our peaks right now in Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan.
And they have, but again, it's just like, what would be the purpose of introducing this new character if you're not going to showcase
I know.
it
I want to see him unleashed too, but just the fact that they're being
You
really
just had to
sketchy,
use the word unleashed.
They're being unleashed. They're really being sketchy with Gohan here in this conference thing. It's very sus.
I no, it is, but I just think that there's a much larger story for him, because I also felt bad for Goten and Trunks. I was like, man, it would have been so cool to see the fusions, but fusions aren't allowed. And even if fusions weren't allowed, they would not even be qualified enough to be a part of this because they're so immature. And I think anybody would be able to smash them. I mean, it would be really cool to see like Botamo versus Gotenks, because Gotenks would have been like, hey, you big fat teddy bear, and Botamo would have been like, what? But like, it's just, it's a comedy relief. But going back to Gohan, it is what it is with him. But again, it's just, there's two characters that are just having a very large foreshadowing here, that being Monaka and Hit. I think that, again, since Beerus was very clear on that, and he said that Monaka's the strongest, he fights last. If there's a circumstance where Vegeta's like second to last and he has to fight it out, and if he loses, then finally everything's gonna boil down to Monaka and to see if he's actually gonna be able to hold his own here. Now, one thing that was kind of like circling through my mind these last couple days was like, what if, and again, this is just a theory and it's just a giant what if, but what if one person decides to switch teams with the other, right? Like, one person's like, I don't want to be on this team anymore, I want to be on the other, and they just go on ahead and go. Can you imagine that for a second? Someone from like Universe 6 is like, what am I doing? Like, I want to be on Universe 7's team. Or if someone from Universe 7, like someone like Monaka, betrays everybody, and he's like, I don't want to be here, I want to be with Universe 6. That'll be crazy. Again, that's just a thought. But leave your thoughts down below, guys. I know it's kind of like a really lengthy video, but leave your thoughts down below as to what you guys think of Gohan. Now, I want to know from you guys: is it possible that Gohan's gonna return? Is it irrational to believe that he's gonna return? And if he does, where do you see his placement and where do you see his power rivaling up against the other team? Because again, this is a very weird and interesting conversation, because we don't know what's gonna happen with Gohan.
Because if Piccolo is scaled into this, Gohan has to be able to be scaled into this.
Man, we're gonna find out as because the anime is catching up to the manga actually
very fast,
and it's awesome. But I do think they're gonna milk it out just a little bit too. I do think that the fights are gonna be just a little bit extended. But leave your thoughts down below, guys, as to what you guys think about Gohan. Do you guys think he'll fit, or do you guys think he's gonna have a bigger story after the Universal God of Destruction tournament? So comment down below and let us know. Once again, guys, thank you all for watching. This has been Unreal ENT Gaming and the Cabros Gaming, aka Super Saiyan Paul, aka the Oolong transforming Super Saiyan 4 hybrid Omega Shenron Shadow Dragon Ball, who always goes AFK in clubs. Don't forget to leave a like, guys. Leave your thoughts down below. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you all later. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.